it feels like with Affirm, the concern, at least I think for many, I know it was at least an observation on my part, um, was just that buy now pay later seems a bit more like a feature than a whole business. But by the same token, we're seeing a lot of investments being made in the space from companies like MasterCard, Visa, PayPal, Square. I mean, we've got Affirm kind of doing their own thing. It's certainly not to say that Affirm can't grow into becoming more things, right? I mean, that I think is one of the strategies that management has explicitly stated is ultimately becoming more of a financial services company. And I wonder how you view that, because if you look at the world today with all of the options out there, with the PayPal's and your Squares of the world, it feels like it'd be a lot easier to go from developing a payments network and then offering additional sort of ancillary services like buy now, pay later, crypto, whatever it may be, for Affirm to start out as a buy now, pay later platform, and then ultimately pivot to other services or other offerings. It seems like that's probably a bit of a higher hurdle. Not to say they can't do it. It just seems like it's a tougher ask. What do you think about that?
Well, in Affirm's case, the fact that they got Peloton early really was the differentiator.
Yeah.
The fact that they partnered with one of the biggest buy now, pay later friendly businesses in the world. And I mean, the tailwinds from the pandemic didn't hurt, let's be honest. But they're having really good success as a standalone business. Just the economics of this, the more I dig into it, the more the economics of the buy now, pay later business makes sense. When you
Yeah.
think of the companies we follow, say Visa, MasterCard, Square, PayPal, Visa and MasterCard get what, 2% maybe of each transaction, if that.
Yeah.
PayPal and Square get, what, 30 cents every time, or 10 cents, 12 cents, I think it is, in Square's case, every time a transaction's made. The buy now, pay later margin is actually really good. Affirm makes a roughly 10% margin. They get 10% of the transaction volume on their platform. In the second quarter, the transaction volume was 2.5 billion, and the revenue they generated was over 261 million. So that's a pretty big revenue stream. This is not the pennies that Square and PayPal are making. This is not the swipe fees that Visa and MasterCard are making. They're actually making a good bit of money when people are using their platform, which is why the point being, because it's such a money maker, if it's going well, it does work as a standalone business because they don't need those $1 trillion payment volumes. They just need, one really great partner, which they got in Peloton, and that really catapulted them to legitimacy as a business.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, the one thing I wonder about with buy now, pay later, because I mean, at the end of the day, this really is just another form of credit, right? I mean, you're drawing out a purchase instead of paying for it all at once. You're paying for it in installments. And I mean, the relationship with Amazon, I think, is really interesting because and I know we had talked about this before, but I mean, I knew I could have sworn that I saw installment options on Amazon, and certainly they do have installment options where they guide you through their credit card, right? The Amazon Prime Visa that you pay for your purchases via installment through their credit card. But this is a different offering now that they'll be presenting with Affirm. It's another offering. At the end of the day, though, I mean, this is still debt. You're getting something up front, and you've got to pay for it over time. And so I guess I wonder, and this is less about the company, this is really more about consumer behavior. And it's a question. It's not really, I'm not really sure how this ends. But at the end of the day, I mean, I wonder, does this guide consumers to spend more responsibly, or does this just become ultimately one more way to accumulate debt? Because the glass half empty guy in me can see a world where consumers get tapped out of their buy now, pay later bandwidth and then start seeking out additional forms of credit, like, say, a credit card.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I mean, it's a question of how much credit do Americans need, first of all.
Yeah.
But like I mentioned last time, it could be kind of complementary to credit cards. In Amazon's case, especially, I have to think everyone who wants an Amazon credit card already has one. I mean, it's got to be pretty close to full market penetration in terms of demand.
Not a bad.
There are some benefits to the buy now, pay later over credit cards. I mentioned last time, it's not reported to your credit unless you make a late payment. So if I were to, let's say my Amazon card is a $5,000 limit. If I were to charge, say, a $3,000 entertainment system for my living room on my Amazon card, it would show as almost a maxed out credit card and hurt my credit score. If I use buy now, pay later, that wouldn't be the case. It wouldn't ding my credit for financing that purchase.